Alright. So it's come to my attention that I don't believe I've ever, I almost said streamed, recorded any Dusk, which I thought was my favorite first-person shooter of the year, even though, it came out last year or whatever. Then I played Warlock. Warlock wasn't... It was pretty good. Not the best. There you go. So, actually, I might... Hold on. Turn that up a little so I can actually hear it. Okay, that's not too bad. So... gonna be playing some Dusk. It's not gonna be a whole 100% playthrough. Whatever. Get all secrets, get all secret levels, blah blah. It's gonna be lots of fun. But I did want to talk about something somewhat serious today. Okay.
Heretic.
And I wanted to test myself to see if I could actually talk about it while I'm playing a moderately, difficult game. I do have it on a, decent difficulty setting. Is there fire?
Heretic.
Clear this room. Get my thoughts together. Flush the... I love that. Okay. So today, man, I really just wanted to talk about homelessness. I know it's something nobody wants to hear about, nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to, spend any time thinking about it, but it's a big thing, and it's very near and dear to my heart. I've known some very kind, very intelligent, just very good people that ended up very homeless. Mostly through, or what I'm hoping is through no fault of their own. I've been struggling with that for, quite a while now. Coming up on 2.5 years, something like that. Actually, no, just about 3 years. Fuck that. Wow. Jeez. It's gonna be 3 years of homelessness. In about, 2 months? Not even. So it's something I want people to know that I think about. And I want people to be aware of it. And I'm going to start talking about it in a very localized sense. Not here where I live. But where it's the worst, and then
Heretic.
I think I'll go on and I'll let's not be fancy. Talk about it, some personal experiences, and then, in a more generalized sense, and try and go on from there. If I can focus and keep my thoughts together and, keep my scientific and, factual side of me. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, a little gas tonight. More prevalent than, the emotional side. So, there, of course, is LA. And when you think of homelessness, you think, if you know anything about it, you think San Francisco, LA, and probably New York. Which you would almost be right. I have some notes on my phone. Or should I say I have some things. some fucking Google searches up on my phone. So, per capita, actually, District of Columbia, where the White House is, where the president lives, that good shit, that's where most homeless people are. Like, yeah, that's where they're at. What was the next one? I gotta look down without getting. Hold on, I'll have to fill this for you. 1 second. I'm done with this. This is not his games, right? Ha 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 ha. FPS bros. What is it? DC, and then in descending order, you got New York, fucking Hawaii, then California, and then very last we have Oregon. Oregon, you probably wouldn't even think of. I know that was a little surprising to me, and it was a little surprising to see basically everything on that list, like people talk about homelessness. They're not like, oh yeah man, Hawaii, am I right? But in reality, that's where they're at, like per capita. It's just that they're not so haha. A little secret for you. When you think about it, it's always LA, right? And that's because of Skid Row. Now, Skid Row, I found out today, was 52 blocks. Now, before about fucking 15 minutes ago, I didn't know what a fucking block was. I was like, that's shit people in, New York think about, right? Like, I didn't fucking know. Oh, excuse me, gas can. Okay. So, turns out about 20 blocks is a mile. So, we're talking about a little over, 2 miles. 2 miles of human filth, feces. People doing drugs out in the street, tents, freaking trash everywhere, fucking, rats, cockroaches, raccoons,
heretic.
Fucking everything just absolutely covered in lice. And that's for over 2 miles. And you're thinking, oh, well, that's just 2 miles. That's not so bad. Walk 2 miles. And tell me how long it took you to walk 2 miles. Because last time I checked, it took me the fastest I could ever time myself walking 2 miles was, I think, about 35 minutes. And that's me fucking hauling cheeks in the fucking winter trying to get to a friend's house to fucking play doubles and Smash. That's not me taking my fucking time, because if I was, I can assure you it would take me about an hour, 50 minutes, somewhere about that. Which is crazy to think about, because, you think, hey, for anyone who's ever lived in an inner city, you know that there's certain places where you're like, man, I don't really want to go to that neighborhood, I don't feel safe there. Well, imagine walking through how I described Skid Row, and for 40 minutes, you can't escape it. That sucks. And, LA's really not trying to do much about it. Well, I say that, but then I reflect and I think, that's kind of a lie too. They are trying to do something about it. They're trying to repeal the laws that, that protect the homeless people. Because right now there's a law that says you cannot make someone move away from let's say, move their tent off of the sidewalk. Or if someone's sleeping on the sidewalk, you can't tell them to go somewhere else because there is nowhere else, because there is not adequate shelter. If I remember correctly, specifically, the law says that you need to both have adequate shelter and adequate accessibility to the shelter, which LA absolutely does not. And also, I don't think there's a fucking city on the fucking planet that does right now. Especially not where I live, in Massachusetts. Which I will get to later. Like I said, I'll talk about my specific experiences after I get done with the general shit. So, right now they're trying to repeal those laws, right? So they can get people to move out and away. But how are they going to do that? Well, police. And what are the police going to do? Put them in jail. Well, I don't know if you've heard anything about the LA prison system lately, but they're already about 300% overpopulated, where people are sleeping on cots on the floor, and the entire gymnasiums were converted into fucking completely open and unprotected, they want to say holding cells, but they're absolutely fucking not. Oh, kill them with a spin. Ow. And, you know, nobody's protected in that situation. Nobody has privacy. You know, I've been inside of a jail before. It's not the worst. If you don't have, you know, a fucking bunkmate, then you got, you know, your own fucking private toilet and sink and whatnot. You know, it's fucking a lot more than I have right now, to be fucking straight up fucking honest. Like, if I went to fucking jail right now, I would have a lot more fucking comforts than I do right now. I would have 3 hots, a fucking cot, and fucking access to a bathroom. You better not fucking come to life, my dude. And what are you going to do with 18,000 extra inmates? Where are they going? Where are they gonna go? You're gonna put them in with a general population? You're gonna fucking hose them down and say, okay, here you go. Now you don't have lice, now you're not diseased. Now you know how to, you know, they're not gonna treat them for their mental illnesses. They're not gonna treat them for their physical illnesses. They're fucking not gonna know how to fucking, you know, act in a fucking prison society. And there's not space for them. You can't fucking do that shit. Impossible to defend. Okay, like, it is just absolute nonsense that they think that they can use prison as a deterrence for homelessness. And, you know, I've looked this up, and I was like, why do people think this is a good idea, right? And they say, oh, well, homelessness is a choice. This is deterrence for people who want to choose to be homeless. As if someone's going to choose to be homeless. As if I'm going to fucking, you know, get a fucking $20,000 to $30,000 a year job, and then turn around and go, nah, I don't want to pay rent. I don't want to rent a room. I don't want to, you know, live in a shelter. Or, you know, pay for food, or have access to, you know, bathrooms, or clothing, or shelter, food, water, you know, all those good basic necessities. Nah, I just kind of want to be homeless. I'm just gonna put a tent up on the fucking sidewalk and live here. Like, who the fuck do you think is out there saying, yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm okay with that. Fuck your book. Ah, you gotta love a game that has this kind of destructiveness. Like, that's just the most out-of-touch bullshit thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Where someone says we have to use the police as a deterrent against people who are willfully homelessness. As if there's such a thing as willful homelessness, and as though that there's space in fucking prison for homeless people. Especially on the West Coast. If a homeless person wanted to be in jail, they could be in jail if they fucking wanted to. It's not hard. You fucking walk up to the nearest fucking person wearing the nicest fucking clothes you can find, deck them in the fucking face, say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to punch them, I meant to kill them. Now you're in jail for fucking up to 10 years. And you're set for the fucking rest of your natural life. Like, if someone wanted to be in prison, they could. It's not hard to do, I guarantee you. So, that whole thing's fucked up. That bothers me. So please. Got it.
Heretic.
So another thing about is, you know, they put money into this. They put money into solving this fucking ridiculously horrible, you know, fucking FEMA CDC level fucking crisis. But nothing's ever coming. Because, you know, what they do 9 out of 10 times is, oh, let's build low-income housing. Low-income housing does not help homelessness. I have dealt with low-income housing my fair share, and I can tell you, low income 100% means low income, not no income. So what we need to do is come up with something for no income housing. Not low income, no income. Yeah, get me? Like, it's just... And yes, yeah, and you're sitting there saying, well, how the fuck does that happen? There's no such thing as no income housing. Everyone's got to pay for shelter, right? And it's like, well, look at fucking Skid Row, where there's 2 straight miles, and fucking, you know, like 10,000 fucking people. Most of them sheltered. Not paying for shelter. So, you know, what's up? It's not, you know, it's not like, oh, you apply for low-income housing, and then the next day, a fucking someone from social services calls you up and goes, oh, hey, come on down, let's have a conversation, let's get you into a decent place.
Heretic.
It's sign up for low-income housing, Section 8, as it's colloquially known, and then you wait at very least 2 years to hear back from anyone. You know, provided you have a way to be contacted, like a phone or a email. And let's be real, now that there's COVID, you can't go into libraries, you can't go into internet cafes, you couldn't fucking access a goddamn computer for free if you wanted to. I used to love going down to the library, just to fucking read books. And then, you know, occasionally, if I had to do some business shit, whoopsies, I'd hop on the computer, I'd have to use, you know, my mother's fucking login, because you cannot get a library card without an address. You have to have mail and an ID to prove that you live at the address that is on your ID, and then you get access to a library card. And my library card, which I was told decades ago would never expire, of course expired. So that sucked. And that was fun. I used to go and I would read, 3 books a fucking week. I would be reading huge tomes, like freaking Three Musketeers, fucking 555 pages. Finished it in 3.5 days. One of the best books I've ever read. Read all the Dune prequel books, read all the Star Wars books, read all the Star Trek books, everything Philip K. Dick I could find. It was a fun time. And then but while I was there, and this is digressing a bit into my own personal experience, there was also a lot of homeless people. I would go and sit down with a book, and then, I'd sit in a chair in the foyer, or I guess, I don't know what you call it, foyer. But I swear, I'm missing a fucking really easy secret. On either side of me in the other chairs would be homeless people, and they would sit there, and they would sleep, and they would eat, which they're not allowed to do. And they sit there and, watch fucking videos on their fucking phone and be loud and laugh and fucking pretend like they didn't have fucking anything better to do. Like they weren't fucking surrounded by fucking knowledge. That they weren't at a fucking library, And they would fucking just sleep or goof off. There's times where people would snore so loud that freaking librarian had to come over and say, "Hey, I can hear you from the fucking front desk. Stop falling asleep." And they go, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." And then immediately fall back to sleep. Oh, Intoxicator! Excuse me while I focus on this set. Okay.
My pet.
And that sucked.
You'll pay for that.
Let's get drunk. Oh, by the way, today I had Knob Creek. It is a damn good whiskey. I suggest you try it out. It is a bit on the expensive side. I will give it that. But I think it's worth the price. I think it's a... Oh, hey, that wasn't in French. What the fuck? Thanks. Put the game in French so I could fucking learn French. Not have fucking English. Where do I go? Hold on, what am I missing? Fucking... Sorry, we're gonna digress into fucking actual gameplay for a second here. been a long time since I played this. When did I play this? I think it was the summer? It must have been like a good 6 months ago. And this is one of the first games I bought when I started having income again. Did I? Did I glitch something? Oh, that's broke. Yeah, certainly shouldn't be able to do this. What the fuck am I missing here? I'm gonna have to cut all this fucking out. This is too much dead air. This fucking sucks. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's what I missed. Yeah, maybe I won't fucking cut that out. Maybe it's just me being fucking stupid. So yes, there's not public places you can go to get fucking, access to the fucking internet to fucking sign up for things like fucking, low income housing, even if you somehow did have income. And, you can't get those fucking stimulus checks if you're homeless. Because you have to have worked, you have to have an address, you have to had, and not just worked, no, paid taxes. So, it doesn't matter how much you worked and how much money you made, you would have to have paid taxes. So, when those those $1,200 checks went out, they didn't go to the people who needed them the most. They didn't go to the homeless people who needed money to get the fuck off the streets, to take showers, to get fucking, medical and dental and fucking mental health. Instead, they went to the people who already had money, and the people who were already making money, and the people who had no fucking excuse to fucking have not had something saved up enough to fucking, save them from fucking being homeless. And the people who did end up homeless because of fucking COVID, whether they got that fucking $1,200 or not, which let's assume they did, I hope they fucking understand now that all it takes is fucking one shitty life experience to fucking lose everything. Now, you could say, why don't they just go to shelters? Well, shelters only have so much room. Speaking from personal experience, there are three main shelters in the city I was born in. Springfield, Massachusetts, by the way. I'll just throw that out there. Because I don't live there anymore, so I guess I'm technically not doxing myself. So, out of those three, only one of them accepts single males. One of them is for families, and I believe the other one is families and females only? Don't quote me on that. I just know that they don't accept walk-ins. Especially those who don't have income. So I call this one, right? And it's literally my only chance, right? And they're asking me, like, do you have ID? And I'm going, no. Well, I mean, yes, but it's been, the only ID I have has been, at the time, expired for years. I have no way, I can't fucking panhandle for fucking $25 fucking dollars to get my fucking ID. I'd be panhandling for fucking 3 years before I fucking had that kind of money, which I never have panhandled. I'm proud of that because, well, reasons, but also it's illegal. On a technical level, it's not technical level, legally is, you cannot panhandle in Massachusetts. Fucking rats. Play rats, man. Even more so, vagrancy is illegal in Massachusetts. So, if you're homeless and you're walking down the street because you have nothing better to do, a police officer could stop you and say, well, hey, you're homeless, but, you're in public and you're walking down the street and you're within 500 feet of where someone lives, that's illegal. So, I don't know if you've ever seen that episode of Futurama where they decide being poor is a crime. Well, it is. That's not fucking something that's fake, like, that's real. Being poor and homeless is a crime. Do not be disillusioned into thinking otherwise. Or thinking, at least here where I live, on the West Coast, where there's tens of thousands of them, and you literally can't put every one of them in jail, yeah, they're gonna not say it's fucking illegal because you can't go around fucking arresting 13,000 fucking people in one night because there's just not enough fucking police and not enough fucking space. But here on the East Coast, homelessness isn't a fucking, a thing that people just accept. There's not 2 miles worth of fucking homeless in Canada. It is very, very easy to get arrested for being nothing more than fucking homeless. So back to the shelters. They're not good. they're not places you want to be. Most of the times, the beds are horribly covered in fucking lice. You know, lice, bed bugs, there's fucking cockroaches. You know, you gotta share the same fucking shower with fucking 29 other people. And you can't not shower. Oh, showers are mandatory. I don't know how the fuck they, you know, enforce that. There's someone standing around fucking making sure, fucking looking at everyone's naked bodies, making sure they're in fucking hot water or under hot water for, you know, a good amount of time. But the worst part of it, right, the part I really want to talk about, is the restrictions on when you're allowed to be there. So, you are allowed to be there. Well, I should say, you have to be there. They say by 5, but if you are not in the line for a month, and let's say 4:40, you're not getting a pump. Because there are lines, you know, fucking 40, 50 people long for $30. And dinner, a free dinner there, is at 4:30. So you have two options. Get your food, swallow it like fucking Kirby swallows a Waddle Dee, and then get in line, or skip dinner. Now, you are also, I believe wake-up time was 6:45, and you absolutely had to be out by 7. Now, you are also only allowed to stay there for 2 weeks. Some point during the end of those 2 weeks, they allude to getting you in contact with some sort of social service worker. When I called, they said, "Do you have income?" And I thought that was a weird fucking question. If I had income, why the fuck would I be calling a homeless shelter asking if they had room and how that, you know, their whole shebang works? The person I spoke to said, "Hey, we can put you in contact with a social service worker if you stay here for 2 weeks, but you need income." And that was a huge red flag for me, because I was thinking, well, what the fuck kind of homeless shelter forces you to have income? What kind of homeless shelter doesn't allow you to stay for more than 2 weeks? It says, okay, you stayed here for 2 weeks, where's our money? Kind of thing. You know, what kind of money you got? And when a homeless shelter is saying, hey man, where's my money? How much money you got? How much you making? That's a huge fucking kind of red flag. You know, that's something a fucking, you know, like a fucking drug dealer who says, yeah man, you can sleep on my couch for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks he goes, now you owe me for 2 weeks of rent. How are you gonna repay me? What do you got? You know, like that sort of thing. And turns out they're like, okay, well, you can talk to someone who works in social services, but if you don't have income, they can't help you. And then it dawned on me, yeah, well, if you don't make income, you can't get into low-income housing. If you don't pay taxes, you can't get government aid. If you don't, oftentimes, if you don't work, you can't even get food stamps. I got food stamps for the longest because I was homeless, and if it turns out if you're homeless, then you don't have to work to get food stamps. And work could be volunteer work, such as the Salvation Army. Of course, you're not going to get into the Salvation Army because there's a line of 100 fucking other homeless people or fucking single parents and whatnot trying to fucking get in there so they can qualify for food stamps. If it wasn't for COVID, the Trump administration was about to pass a law that made it so that single males who did not work could not get food stamps. Period. Which means I would have lost nearly $200 worth of food a month, and I would have starved to death and died. Dumpster diving is not a thing you can do in small cities. If you live in New York or California, excuse me, and by California I mean LA, sure, you might be able to scrounge up enough shit when people literally throw trash bags full of food out in the frickin' curb and you can just dig through them all fucking night and no one's gonna stop you. But in the place where I live, there's no such thing as a fucking unlocked dumpster, and I'm not willing to break any laws and trespass or destroy private property to access a dumpster to get to food that should, in all fucking rightfulness, be donated instead of thrown out. I'm gonna take a quick, 6-minute break because I have to go take care of some shit. But when I get back, I will go right back into some fun facts and stats, and we will get right back to the conversation. And by fun facts, I mean depressing facts. Oh, boy. Cannot wait to get into this. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Ooh, it is raining outside. I do not want to be out there. Alright, so, actually, before I get into some more assassin facts, I wanted to finish up talking about shelters. So, the fact that you have to be out by 7 and in by, let's say 4:45 if you want to bunk. You can't work third shift. You can't work early. You can't work a 9 to 5. You can't work early first shift. And if by some fucking dumb luck you get a job that's like 7 to 3, 8 to 4, you had better have a fucking way to get to your fucking job within 15 minutes away from that shelter and have a way to get back to it. Which is not as fucking easy as it sounds. So for let's say 95% of people, you have two options. Work and sleep on the fucking curb, or stay in the shelter and not be able to hold a job because you can't. You have to choose between shelter or income. And you need income to have shelter, and you need shelter to have income. It's a fucking whole vicious fucking circle. There are many fucking vicious, self-defeating circles within homelessness. That is probably the one that pisses me off the most. Let me pull my phone out for a sec so I can talk about a little bit more. Talked about that. So causes of homelessness, right? And so the top 5, right? Lack of affordable housing, unemployment, poverty, mental illness, lack of needed services, and substance abuse. Now, substance abuse is a huge part of that. If someone's abusing substances, they're obviously choosing, drugs and alcohol over basic necessities like, again, food, clothing, shelter. Ow. And that's their own fault. But I think those first 3 are just about the same thing. I don't know about you, but unemployment and poverty, what's the fucking difference there? How are you supposed to not be poor, but homeless? How are you supposed to, if you have employment, you can save, right? Like, yeah, maybe you're homeless for, half a year or so, but in the end, you've saved up whatever amount of money, and you can have a decent place somewhere, right? Even if you're only making $150 a week, you can at least, you can find a cheap motel, and you can stay there during the weekends. And now that you have, income, you qualify for food stamps. You qualify for some type of cheap health insurance. And I'm sure there's something else I'm leaving out. So, now I know why fucking streamers are shit. And I always look at it, I'm like, you have 0 bullets in your gun. Why did you try to fire it? It's like, well, I was having a fucking conversation. Mental illness. Okay. That's a thing, right? But it's like, okay, that doesn't just go away. And also, that's not cheap. Fucking... I remember I used to see a therapist, right? And then all of a sudden, my insurance decided, no, we don't pay for that anymore. And I went in and my therapist said, hey, you know, I like you, you've been here for a while. I'm going to waive your fee this time. But the next time you come back, it's going to cost you $200. And I thought, really? $200 to speak to someone for 30 minutes. And if I don't pay that $200 to speak to you for 30 minutes, I can't get medication. And during that time, I was under court order to take medication. And I told my probation officer I literally cannot pay for therapy. You know, I do not have access to this medication anymore. And she said, well, then you're probably going to have to do jail time. And I thought, oh, well, you know, that's fucking fair. I have to fucking, you know, I have to go to jail because my insurance won't pay for fucking the things I need for my mental health that, you know, you said I had to have when I'm fucking a homeless 18-year-old, you know, with mental disabilities, fucking, you know, no access to fucking reliable transportation or shelter. And, you know, that's when I realized, oh, well, they're just setting me up for failure. Like, there's no winning here, you know? It was a really horrible experience. What is there? Lack of affordable housing. Yeah, well, like I said, that's because you're on a waiting list for 2 years waiting for housing that you have to have income to get into. There's no such thing as, you know, no income housing. So that's that. You know, and what? You're gonna have affordable housing in Massachusetts, like the third most expensive place, third most expensive state in the fucking country to live in? Yeah, no shit, you know? Oh, and I should say, that where I grew up, again, Springfield, that is the third largest city in Massachusetts. Last time I checked. Again, last time I checked, I think there was, what, 250,000 people living there? Somewhere about that? 260,000? So, when the only shelter in the city that accepts single homeless men only has 30 fucking bunks, it's kind of telling of they don't really give a fuck, they don't want you there, they don't care about you, you are not welcome. And again, like, there's places for families, like, it's very rigged against men, especially single men. Like, if you're a woman, there will always be free shelter for you. If you have children, there is always free shelter for you. If you are part of a family, there is always free shelter. If you are an 18-year-old who has been kicked out of your house for, being gay, or your family can't afford you, or any other fucking reason, you're screwed. You're digging through dumpsters and fucking panhandling for enough money to get a tent so you have something over your head when it fucking rains and snows and gets under 0 degrees in the winter, by fucking living in the woods and praying that fucking police don't find you. Or fucking, violent animals, or fucking criminals, or other homeless people. And, it's no fucking, great secret that most homeless people are men. Because women get taken care of. Let's be honest, if you were walking down the street and a homeless man came up to you and said, "Hey, can I please have $5? I'm hungry," you would probably be like, "Fuck off." But if a fucking, if a 20-year-old woman came up to you and said, "Hey, can I have $5? I'm hungry," you'd be like, "Oh, yeah, of course, honey. No, you're cute, you're young, you're a woman, you need this, I gotta take care of you, I'm a man. Hell, maybe you'll even fuck me. Here's $5. Like, that's just kind of the reality of things, And if I have to speak to more modern times,
Kill him.
and by more modern, I mean 2020 COVID times,
Kill her, Dick.
it's funny because, they said, "Oh, we're going to set up a triage for the homeless people," right? And they tested them. Of course, it took months and months later than they said it would be done to actually get any fucking testing done. But when they did, I think it was like, what, maybe a 50th of the people they tested were actually positive. Like, there was really not a lot of homeless people who, of course, were very scared and felt very vulnerable, as they should have. And it turns out, oh hey, you don't. Because guess what? Homeless people don't fucking... They're not shaking hands. They're not hugging. They're not in a crowded workplace. They're not handling fucking cash and food and, you know, doing all these things that would be, give them a higher chance of having a communicable disease, right? But yet, you know, I walk down the street in the early days when I didn't have a mask, and I didn't have a choice of wearing a mask, because it's not like they fucking hand those things out. And then you would just get dirty looks all day. And it's like, well, what, are you going to give me a mask? Because I can't afford one. You know, it's like, what are you scared of? I'm not living around you. You're not trying to interact with me. I'm not trying to interact with you because, you know, again, I'm not panhandling. I'm not touching money. I'm not reaching into people's cars. People aren't reaching out of their cars to give me anything. And they're like, oh, look at that dirty motherfucker. And I'm going, well, you know, look at you. What are you doing out in public? What are you, like, you know, you're fucking thrice my age. And a lot more fucking vulnerable to this thing than I am. Why are you looking at me like I'm some fucking playground? Like, man, I know how the fucking T-virus spread in Raccoon City. I'm not about to start eating fucking rats. Oh, I'm sorry. Venezuela. I don't know, it just... Man, sorry for the dead air there. It just, it hurt me. I was like, man, you're really gonna sit there and, like, judge me in public? And it's like, yeah, you know, I need to fucking get food too. I need to get to the, you know, the fucking grocery store to spend my fucking food stamps. Because I have to live too. I'm sorry, I don't have fucking money to live at home and have a fucking caretaker fucking buy all the food for me and prepare all the food for me. Like, shit, sorry, I gotta do things for myself. Sorry I've had to do things for myself for fucking, you know, 10 fucking years. Sorry the things I've been doing actually work for me. Sorry that, you know, many days I straight up run out of food stamps and I have to go down to the local fucking pizza place and fucking pray that there's fucking food there that they have thrown out less than fucking 2 days ago. And there's been days where I've had horrible fucking stomach aches. But you know what? It was worth it, because I had food in my stomach. And you know, a lot of food they throw out is fine. Like, shit, I found a bag of fucking chicken once. You know, pre-cooked, good shit. Totally fine. I looked at the expiration date and was like, oh, it expired a week ago. I open it up, smell it, smells like fucking chicken. Taste it, tastes like fucking chicken. You know, I got to eat a whole fucking bag of chicken that day. And I think that day it was 10 degrees out. And all of my shelter was 6 blankets. And we're not talking about good blankets either. We're talking about, like, knitted, like, kind of quasi-quilt blankets. You know, like, I did have a thermal blanket at one point, but I used it so much that it got, you know, torn up, and I had to use what little there was left to, like, wrap my feet in it. You know, there was nights where, you know, my fingers and my toes were, you know, blue, black, not black, you know, blue and turning purple. And I was just having to massage my fingers and toes for hours at a time just to keep blood flowing to them. You know, there's... And it sucks when, even when you have food stamps, the closest place that takes them is a 15-minute walk away, so you're spending half an hour outside in, you know, below freezing weather just to spend $40 on what amounts to about 2 days worth of food. And, you know, for those of you who don't, you know, shop for themselves, that might sound a little unreasonable. Yeah, well, that's kind of because it is. It depends on how broke you want to be. And especially during the winter, there's a lot of things you just can't buy because they freeze. And you can't, you know, what kind of nutrients are you going to get sucking on a frozen piece of bologna? Gosh, I swear there's one other thing I wanted to bring up. I guess I have to say something about good people too, right? Because there used to be an older woman. I won't say her name. I believe she's retired at this point. She used to work at the local grocery store, and there'd be times where I would show up and she'd say, "Hey, how's everything going?" She would always support me every time I would try and buy a sandwich, and someone would try and say like, "Oh, hey, you can't buy a store-made sandwich with food stamps." She would go, "Oh, no, like, that's bullshit." And help me out. There was times where she said, "Oh, hey, hey, I have a salad in the freezer. I'm not gonna eat it today. Do you want it?" And be like, "All right, yeah, sure." Damn good salad. Took me like a day and a half to eat. It was so goddamn fucking good. Of course, she's gone now. It's funny because not once did I ever say, "Hey, I'm homeless." There was never a time where I told anyone. There was never a time where anyone asked. In fact. Soap? We don't need no damn soap. But, like back in the day when I used to have to backpack around, I would show up in my backpack, and, one person that worked there, again, I won't say any names because they don't work there anymore, and I wouldn't want anyone to think badly of them. I used to come over the backpack and say, "All right, well, no more backpacks, because people are stealing." And I go, "Oh, that sucks. Must be local fucking high school punks. They show up at the fucking library and try and help each other, and fucking, they're on their fucking phone the entire fucking time." It's like, okay, why are you here at the fucking library? You can literally do whatever the fuck you're doing anywhere else. But anyway, fucking say, "Alright, you gotta leave your backpack." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." And every time I come in, the nice woman would go, "Oh, hey, I trust you. You can wear it. You come in, buy your shit, and you're out in 5 minutes. It's not like I was fucking loitering around or anything. It was just, hey, I come in, I spend my food stamps here, that's it. And that was cool. That was nice. Then this other guy, you'd always make quote unquote jokes like, "Oh, hey, why don't you, I'm sorry you're waiting such a long time in line. Why don't you just steal it? Oh, why don't you just walk out of the store with it?" Shit like that. Like, he fucking thought I was stealing. Like, he thought I was the guy coming in with the backpack, loading my backpack up with food, and then buying fucking $40 worth of food every fucking 2 days. And at the time, I probably weighed under 100 pounds. I was very unhealthily skinny. There was not, I think, a single bone in my body that you couldn't see. Oh, really? This counts as a secret? Like, man, that guy. And it's not like he didn't know how to have like a good conversation either. You would have decent conversations. Like, oh hey, you use that whole packet of mayonnaise that comes with store-bought sandwiches? Because, you know, like, sometimes they put 2 in there, and I think that's too much. And I'm like, you know, I could go back and forth with him about that. But then other times, he would just flat out fucking, you know, low-key accuse me of fucking stealing. And fucking, you know, just be real passive-aggressive about circumstances that were far beyond anything I could control. And that's just the kind of things you have to fucking deal with, because, you know, no one's gonna fucking treat you fucking normal if you're homeless, and no one's gonna treat you normal even if you goddamn look homeless, you know? Like, I've had long hair and quite the bushy beard since I was like, you know, fucking 16 or whatever. I've had people, you know, adults, when I was still technically, you know, a goddamn child, straight up tell me, hey, you look like fucking Charlie Manson. What the hell's wrong with you? And I'm like, okay, sorry, I wanna, you know, enjoy my hair while I have it. It's not like most men go through balding by the time they hit 35. So maybe when I'm 16 and I have a fucking full head of not balding hair, maybe I want to fucking keep that around, you know, maybe if I can grow a beard and people compliment me on that and are jealous about that, then maybe that's one of the main things that make me stand out from the rest of the fucking, you know, common people, especially my friends. Oh, okay, let's take this fucking... Ow, come on.
They were.
tough. And you know, especially now, in 2020, like I said, when everyone thinks every fucking homeless person is a plague rat, when in reality, they're spending the most time away from other people. They're spending the most time away from handling fucking money and other people's possessions, and they're not, you know, around the elderly, or freaking they're smart enough to stay away from fucking sick people. Yes, the ones that do drugs and the ones who are heavily addicted, you know, to alcohol, and the ones that fucking, you know, sleep on the freaking sidewalk. Yeah, you should probably be careful around those people. But you don't know who those people are unless you see them exhibit those kind of behaviors. If someone's walking down the street, you know, on their phone, and they look vaguely fucking scruffy looking, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, maybe not go... Maybe your first thought shouldn't be, man, look at that fucking plague rat. Better fucking cross the street. Excuse me. So yeah, homelessness is a huge issue. Not easily solved, because you can't put them all in prison. The shelters won't take them all. There's sure as hell not enough jobs and not enough employers willing to employ someone who's homeless. You know, if you want a job, you have to have transportation, which takes income. You know, you have to have money to have transportation. Fucking... Hey, want to get to your job on time? You better have $10,000 for a fucking car. And fucking, you know, $800 a month to pay for that fucking insurance. I know that's a little high, I'm just throwing a number out there. To get to that job. Okay, you can take the bus. Bus here costs $1.50. I had a couple come up to me the other day and said, we need $3 to take the bus. I gave them $1 that I happened to find on the street earlier. And the guy said, hey man, do you do your own laundry? And I lied and said yes. And he said, hey, I got these... You know, he had like fucking Tide Pods or whatever. And he was like, hey man, if you give me $3, I'll give you a pack of these. And I was like, that's all I have. Like, fucking good luck, guys. Like, I'd give you the money if I had it. I don't fucking carry cash. Everything is on my card. If people ask me almost every fucking day that I go to the liquor store, there's a 80% chance at least that someone's gonna ask me for 50 cents to $1. Or someone's going to ask me to go buy alcohol for them because they've been banned from the liquor store because they fucking sit outside of it all fucking day and fucking bother people for money. Like, or they just don't have a mask, or they refuse to wear a mask. I still see people all the fucking time wearing bandanas. I'm like, okay. Hell, they have a sign up that says no pets in the store anymore because a guy kept bringing his fucking boa constrictor into the fucking store. Just wrap it around his fucking neck and keep it in his fucking jacket. Just bring his fucking snake into the fucking store, just out in the open. And enough people are like, what the fuck? If I can't bring my fucking dog in here, why can you bring your fucking snake in here? If I can't come in here carrying a fucking cat, if I can't fucking walk my fucking horse in here, how come you're allowed to fucking bring your snake? I know that's a bit of a fucking digression, but it's a fucking funny story. I might retell it someday. Yeah, it's $1.50 is not easy to get in a day. Especially when you have to do that on a regular basis and you become known as that person who asks people for money. And you can say it's for the bus, no one's gonna fucking believe you. And even if you do, around these parts, fucking... yeah, everybody needs money. Everybody needs change. The fucking... goddamn... I went to the fucking grocery store today, and I had to listen to a freaking cashier tell 3 separate people, I can't pay you in change. I can't give you your change because I don't have any. They have, freaking little, like, notes taped to the freaking, card readers and shit that are like, hey, if you could donate change, we'll take any you can get. And it's so bad that literally the oldest fucking, grocery store in my city can't pay people their change. And they're begging for fucking change. So, I know I can't even... oh, excuse me, I got hiccups now. Can't even go there and pay for things in... cash. And I have to save my fucking food stamps because if I spend, the $30 to $40 every other day, I'm gonna run out of food food stamps halfway through the month. So I end up spending, fucking $100 on freaking Grubhub a week just so I don't run out of food stamps. And that's a whole nother thing. Because homeless people can't do that. You gotta have a phone number. You gotta have a frickin' address. Homeless people can't use rideshare services because Uber needs a legit phone number, which is not free and is not cheap. And Lyft requires you to have 2 separate debit or credit cards, which, people, even most middle class people, don't even have. It's ridiculous. So I think I've talked your ear out enough, and I hope you've learned something, and I hope in the future, if you see a homeless person, feel sorry for them, but not too much. Just know that a lot of them, it was out of their control. If I would ask, if you have a little bit of money laying around extra, carry 50 cents or $1 with you, in your back pocket, just in case someone asks you for it. If they're around a liquor store, do not give that to them. If they're, just walking down the street, downtown or whatever, I would ask that, you carry a little bit of change so you can give that to them to make their lives a little bit easier. Um, I'd ask that you look into this yourself. Um, I would ask that you look into local shelters to see what their policies are so you can understand, um, what people have to go through and what rules they have to follow and how strict it is. Uh, the rules are to actually get in and stay in one of those shelters. I would ask that if you vote, I personally do not, but if you do, I would ask for you to vote for people who are openly looking for more solutions for homelessness. Um, I would ask that you, if you have children, to take care of them, and no matter what, do not let them be homeless. Do not kick your children out of your house, uh, no matter what, because once they become homeless, it becomes infinitely more harder for them to actually be a part of society or to move forward in their life. Um, Homelessness is horrible, and it's a huge stopping and blocking point for someone to move forward in their life and actually be a part of society. Um, it's is so cruel, whether someone deserves it or not. I think it's a fate crueler than incarceration. Um, I would ask if you see a homeless person who has a mental disability or is mentally ill, um, don't get involved. I wouldn't try and help them. I wouldn't, ask them what they need. I wouldn't give them money because what they need is in-house treatment. They need to be go to a rehabilitation center or, a mental health facility. They don't need money. They don't need your support. They need support of a mental health professional. And getting involved in that kind of stuff is, dangerous for you, and it's not helping them in any way. I would also ask that you donate old clothes. I'd ask that you donate food if you can. Although most places you donate food to, homeless people don't really have access to that stuff. I know there's a soup kitchen in my city, but it's like fucking 4 miles away, and I would literally have to walk on highway to get to it. Like, there's no safe way for me to actually get there. And then getting there and getting back is like a 6-hour process. And I don't think me walking for 6 hours to get one meal is worth the calories. To be honest, to be very honest. Like, it's just, I did the math and I'm like, I can't do this in the winter because it's too dangerous. It's too cold. I can't do it in the summer because it's too hot and it's too dangerous. You know. Um, I would ask, if you see a homeless person without a mask and you have an extra one, that you would give one to them. if you have hand sanitizer, um, any type of antiseptic mouthwash, um, maybe even gloves, anything to keep them, safer, that you would, ask if they wanted them for free. If you have extra. I'm not asking you to go out of your way to help homeless people. You probably don't even know one. Most of you probably don't even see more than 2 a year in your life. I just happen to see a lot because, I frequent the downtown area of my city. Um, they often congregate around liquor stores, so I see my fair share. Um, being one myself and never actually going to any type of homeless communities and always retaining my independence meant I never got to know the homeless communities because I never wanted them to see me as one of them. I never wanted a homeless person to see me and then, identify me as one of their own. Um, Especially because that helps the rest of the normal community not identify me as one of them. Because, once you start hanging out around homeless people, if a normal person sees you, they're going to say, hey, that's that guy that hangs out with homeless people. It's that simple. So, if you can, do help. If you can't, fucking whatever. No one's gonna no one's gonna care. um, so thanks for taking the time to listen to me. I hope you enjoyed whatever part of Dusk I showed you. I'll probably continue it in the near future, and we'll probably talk about something hopefully less depressing. Alright, stay safe. I'll see you later.